Hello everyone, Zellarinth here, and the monthly Sensor Tower report came out for the mobile revenue. So I like to use this as just kind of my guide on the games that I currently play, how well they're doing in terms of profitability, and if they're going to be sustainable for the future. It's kind of, now that I'm playing a significant amount of games, I want to make sure that the games that I am playing are sustainable and profitable, that I can expect that they're going to continue to make content for them and I don't have to worry about them ending service anytime soon, especially since I'm one that invests a lot of time and spends a decent amount of money on these games. I'm not one that's going to be into the, oh, this game's dominating the charts. That's not the biggest thing. I mean, we know that like Hoyoverse games are going to be up on top, but it's more of just the sustainability. I don't care if my favorite game's doing better than, say, another game. So the main games that I currently play is I play Honkai Star Rail, I play Zenless Zone Zero, I play Wuthering Waves, and I play sort of Convallaria. So those are the main ones that I kind of want to look at, but then you have the games that I'm looking at potentially playing in the future. The big one right now on my radar is Girls Frontline 2. There's been a couple others that I've looked at, but we'll kind of just get an idea of those games here, especially games that haven't released globally like Girls Frontline 2, and see what their profitability currently is, and what we could expect for when they actually do release globally. So taking a look at it, we do have right on the top is I think this was the top last month as well, is Love in Deep Space. I don't know much about this game. It's, I think, what they consider a husbando game. I don't know really anything about it, but they definitely have been doing extremely well, being on top when knocking Hoyoverse down from being #1 for a couple months here now. And of course, we have Honkai Star Rail coming up on the top right after. It's no surprise there. I mean, they just came out with the top unit. I forget her name, like Fiexo. Basically, your Acheron in the hunt path. But the numbers are actually quite low from what I would have expected because she's a Meta level unit. And so there was a big incentive to me to want to pull on her. I didn't actually pull for her just simply because I already have Acheron and Firefly, and they kind of dominate everything. And I'm just kind of trying to hoard my supplies and continue to build up my Acheron and Firefly team in Star Rail. So I haven't really had to do much in Star Rail lately. It's more of just making sure I get the events done, completing the endgame content, and just kind of hoarding supplies for eventually for the next big unit or the big meta shift. So that could be some of it is a lot of people are starting to solidify their team, so they're not needing to put as much money into it, even when a new big character comes. Kind of same thing with Genshin Impact. I don't play Genshin Impact. I just know it's one of their bigger games. I think it's kind of just been a lull period for them. Don't really know too many of these other games up there. I mean, you have Fate Grand Order that's been around forever. And that one's still doing quite well. It's gone down quite a bit, but I mean, 18 million still not doing too bad. Zenless Zone Zero. I mean, probably one of the weaker Hoyoverse games, which kind of one of those things. I mean, 18 million is a lot, but that just kind of makes me feel that it's being carried by the Hoyoverse name, and not as much on the game itself being good. Now, I like the game. It's pretty good. I don't see any problems with it. It's polished. It's got that Hoyoverse touch to it. I mean, and this is global. I'm guessing it's somewhere on here. There's another one on here for the Chinese market, or maybe not. I think this one is just the if it's not released globally, it's not going to have it here. I'm not 100% certain on how this one works. I mean, there's two charts to it. Like we have this one where Star Rail's on the top and Love and Deep Space is there. So I think this is the total if it's global. If it's not global, then it has a separate column here, and this is the kind of breaking it down. I believe that's the case here. So I prefer this one where it actually can break them apart. Where you have global, then you have the Chinese, and then some of them, like you'll have the Japanese, so you can tell the difference between which areas it's doing well. Because if the Japanese market's doing extremely well in a game, but the global's not, they may just shut down the global server. So it's important to know that distinction. So that one's doing well. I mean, you have AFK Journey. I think that one had a good push, but they're starting to fall off a little bit, but they're still quite up there. Then you have Zenless Zone Zero in China, so it's still doing well, sticking right about where global is. And then we kind of go down here. The other big ones that I want to see Let's see. Oh, we have Wuthering Waves. They've kind of, I mean, they had a really, really big start and they've kind of gone down over time. This last month for Wuthering Waves was actually pretty slow. It was kind of a lull period in the game, and plus they gave away a free unit. And so $4 million is still very good. I mean, that's sustainable. If they just continue to make $4 million, I don't see them shutting the game down. Definitely, and Wuthering Waves is probably my favorite of the open worlds so far. I mean, I do know we have some really big ones coming up soon, like Neverness, the Everness, Project Mugen, and then there's Azir Premilia, and those are all games that I do plan to play and I want to make content for. So right now, Wuthering Waves has kind of been my open world game and it's doing quite well. Just hopefully it can at least stay in that range and not continue to drop. They just released a new character that's only had like 2 days of sale, so we'll kind of need to see what happens this month with their revenue to really get an idea of how well they're doing. I mean, you got a couple other games here. Final Fantasy Ever Crisis is still doing well. Never really could get into that one. Let's see, Wuthering Waves, it's down here on the Chinese market a little bit too. Kind of just following the same path. And then I know we're getting close to, so we have sort of Convallaria down here. And so it's 1.5 million. It was 5 million last month. I mean, we had the big release of Global and all that in the previous month, so we did expect a drop off. But I think on the Japanese at 1.5 million, that's extremely that's still doing pretty good. I mean, it's not a genre that is going to be super popular like you have with the action-based ones. And since it's not got the Hoyoverse name to kind of carry it like Honkai Star Rail does, so I think that's doing quite well on the Japanese side. So no worries for me on the income they're making there. And just to think, this is just mobile, so this isn't including people like me who I play it off of Steam, and I know like pretty much everybody I know that plays sort of Convallaria plays it on Steam. So this is just mobile revenue. So they make more money than this. So that's a good sign there on the Japanese side. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a little bit lower on global. So we have global down to 1.1 million, still a respectable amount. Where I think it was hurting the most was in China. And so I'm not so sure on, so to China it's down to 550. I'm not so sure on how it would work in terms of if the revenue drops too much, if they're not making enough money in China, would that impact global? Is this something where they would continue supporting and updating the game even if global's the only one making the money for them and they're losing money in China? I don't know that aspect, but 550 is still enough. We gotta just hope that they can kind of make that back with their next. We have the next big expansion. It's coming out the witches, so hopefully that can increase their numbers here. But even then, that's still enough money. The big thing is China. A lot of their revenue does come from mobile over PC, so that is a little bit concerning. But it's not low enough that I would think they would end a service it anytime soon at this point. But then you have the game that I'm looking to get into that's going to be coming out to global. The release date, I think, was looking to be December 3rd. It was like it's not the actual, like, a formal release date, but I think it's actually showing coming, like, potentially, like a potential release date of, like, December 3rd. That would be Girls Frontline 2, which is right here. So right now in the Chinese version, it's making 1.1 million. It's gone down a little bit. Now, the one thing I did learn about this game is they are a game that, I mean, the original Girls Frontline, the one, or the original, has it's well known for just surviving on like little to no income. Cause I think it's like closer to the bottom, the original, and it's still sticking around. Yeah, so this one's only made 40,000 in this month, and this thing's just not gonna die, from what I understand in that aspect. And it's more of a passion project. And I don't know if you can hear, but I have my dog in the background make a little bit of noise, but I don't think she's making too much. But so that game, hopefully when it comes, it has a big push and it makes enough income. I think it should stick around. That's why I do intend to start making some guides on it. Once we get a formal release date, I kind of want to start looking at the units that'll be coming out in Girls Frontline in the beginning, kind of go over their kits, and then kind of go over the kits kind of the same way I'm doing sort of Convallaria, is kind of getting ahead of the game on all the units and who you should save for, what the re-rolling process will be for that game and all that. Kind of the stuff that I missed with sort of Convallaria because I didn't start making content until about a week or two into it. So that's kind of the one I've been looking at. I think there was a couple others that aren't released globally yet, but I don't really know the names of them off the top of my head. But overall, all the games that I'm kind of been playing right now, I have no concerns about at this point. Sword of Convallaria, making plenty of money. It's kind of my main game at this point. And then as we're starting to settle into getting a full 2 teams of Tower of Adversity, it'll kind of slowly become a game where I get more picky and choosy on the units I get. But I will continue. I don't see that game dying anytime soon. So in the long run, it's overall doing pretty well. But yeah, that's just a quick look at the revenue report and kind of my thoughts on at least the games that I'm playing. I know there's a lot of other games other people play on here. I don't have a lot of knowledge in any games that I haven't actually played or done research in. But as now I'm making content, I'm trying to get into and learning more about other games as time goes on. So as new games come out, I'm going to try and play just about every kind of one of them, at least in the tactical genre and maybe the action-based genre. So we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But if you like this video and you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it's been helping quite a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.